Welcome to the open house, or the ribbon cutting, to the North Brookfield Water Treatment Plant. As most of you know, this is a long time coming. About 100 years ago, the town had the foresight to install a fairly, at that time, a sophisticated water system in the town. Over the past 100 and so years, not much improvements had taken place other than to take the water wheel out of the pump house and put in 1930 pumps, which were still being used up to about 6 months ago. As most of you know, there's a pump station down at Doan's Pump. You now are taking what you used to drink was pond water. You are now drinking very clean water. We have several people who are going to give different speeches today. I want to thank several people that are here. Some are not. First, the two residents who are probably the most affected by this plant is John Purcell, who we now drive through his backyard, and the LaValleys, who are probably the most affected because they used to have a nice pine tree forest to look at, now have a building to look at. Both of them have been very patient through this whole ordeal. I'd like to thank Tom DeSantos from our office, who used to be, now works for someone else, but he was an integral part of the design and the initial part of the construction. The two commissioners, John Tomasian, Tim Toomey. I'd like to thank Bill Emerson, even though he's not here, he's in California. He spent a lot of years trying to get this plant up and going. I think he spent, 30 years on the commission. There will be a plaque, actually, that will have his name on it also. And Jim Flamange, the third commissioner, who is not here today. The construction of this project was supposed to take 18 months. We started in approximately, the contract was signed May 9th of 1999, and 14 months, 2 weeks, we were providing water to the town. So we're actually finished 4 months ahead of, almost 4 months ahead of schedule. I'd like to introduce Tom Waugh from the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you very much, and thank you. I want to personally thank the committee for inviting me to just say a few words. I'm sure we're probably going to say the exact same things from myself and the representatives that we have here, but I want to recognize certainly Richard Batchelor, who will be retiring this June, and I'm sure he'll be recognized for that feat. But congratulations for your efforts, and we look forward to for another year and a great job here. Certainly the board, Tim Toomey, John Tomasian, and James Flamand. Congratulations to you. I know the Board of Selectmen have supported this project from the start. It was a huge undertaking, and they had to do some convincing, and they did a great job. I still remember Steve Brewer's letter dated August 18th, 1998, stating that the appropriation of a $5.5 million no-interest loan was awarded to the town, and that certainly was the help initiate this whole program, and congratulations for fighting for that piece and getting it. And this particular ceremony, I guess, brings the planning process to an end, and now we start the process of bringing you some nice, clean, fresh water, and I'm sure that the revenues that are taken in are going to be more than adequate to suffice in the system continuing. But thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you.
If it wasn't for Representative Tuttle and Senator Brewer, this construction of this plant may not have happened. We had problems in the beginning of funding. The state, DEP, has provided funding, but there was some issues that took place from the time it was designed to the time of construction. So if it wasn't for these two gentlemen, we probably would not be here today. So I'd like to introduce Representative Tuttle.
Thank you very much.
4 months ahead of schedule. We're going to recommend them to the Mass Turnpike to hire for the big projects. But it's great to be here today, and I'm proud to be here. Myself and Senator Brewer, in support of the town of North Brookfield. I think one of the first stops I made after taking office in January 1st of '98 was with Graves Engineering in Worcester. To talk about this project and the importance of this project to the residents of North Brookfield. This is a state-of-the-art facility, and this is going to provide clean drinking water for many, many, many years and generations. You're to be commended for the efforts that you took as a community, as a commission, the Board of Selectmen, and the residents too, to build this facility. I'm proud to be here this morning, and we have a citation to hang on the new walls, although I was told you can't put nails in the new walls yet. We're going to wait a couple of years to do that. But it's to all the residents of North Brookfield, because this is definitely a town-wide effort. And it's in recognition of the dedication of the new North Brookfield water treatment plant. And it's given this 21st day of October 2000. It's signed Thomas Finner, Speaker of the House, and David Tuttle, State Representative. We're very proud to be here. This is an initiative we're trying to do with the Clean Water Initiative, protecting our environment. This is going to be a great fit for everybody, and we want to present this to the town.
And the state-of-the-art $6 million facility that is here now obviously brings us into the 21st century with clean water for the citizens and the residents of this area. The roles of government, in honesty, can be narrowed down to a precious few. And protecting the public health and the public safety, and Chief Fulham is here who works on the public safety end of that, but the public health where young people and all people can have, when they turn on their water faucet, they can be guaranteed that the water they drink is not going to be harmful to them. If you study history of 100 years ago in areas like New York City where infant mortality was astronomical and unacceptable, in the uncertainty of what you're going to get out of your water tap. Well, that's the role of government, to make sure that we provide the money to help get that done. You ought to be glad you did it when you did, because we're changing the law right now on these zero-interest loans that will be a 2% loan and maybe even a 3% loan in the not-too-distant future for those communities that come after you to do this. So you seize the opportunity at the right time on the state revolving fund money, the SRF money. This is just another step in this fine town's commitment to progress, whether it's tearing down the Aztec building, the asbestos building, and the commitment that you will do on your own time, on your own schedule, for other infrastructure improvements in this community. And hopefully that I know the people of this community, and I know how valuable you cherish the values in North Brookfield, and I'm very proud of all of what you have done. It is not easy to do this, and I also have a citation, and I'd like to bring up Dickie Batchelor, my buddy, who's been one of the most loyal people to me over the years, from day one. And you put this over your desk, my friend, as well, recognizing the grand opening of this facility on this day, October 21st, in the year 2000, and with every good wish for good health and good future. We say all of this, but the truth of the matter is, when Dr. Lou Grace drinks his first glass of water in 62 years in this town, it says a lot about what you have done for the quality of water of this area. Congratulations to you all.
Okay, now that both Steve and Jeff have used some of my remarks that I had, gone through the week, and I wish I was as good a speaker, but I need notes. I'd just like to thank you for coming today in this day of history for the North Brookfield Water Department. As I was standing here too, my thoughts drifted back over 100 years to the day our system going online. It was a similar day as this. I'm sure it was as nice a day as this back in September. How proud the town must have been on that day. I wish Bill Emerson could be here today. Bill is now living in California and doing very well. Bill, as you know, was a dedicated commissioner for many years of service to the water department. His efforts focused on the construction of the building you see here today. I would like to thank the town officials who helped to make this happen. To Senator Brewer, And Representative Tuttle, how could we have done it without you? From guiding us through the proper agencies, to securing the funding, to even working with the phone company to secure phone service for us. It was quite a project. On behalf of the Water Department, we thank you for your help, and the town is very fortunate to have you two representing us. I would also like to thank the Public Access Committee, who videoed the project from the day of the beginning. To Pete, Russ, Phil, and Fred, thank you. You have perhaps captured a piece of history, the town's history, for future generations. And it is so nice now for me to go in Victory Market, the post office, and have people come up and tell you what a difference. It really makes you feel good. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. Now, with great pride, I will cut the ribbon to officially open the North Brookfield Water Treatment Plant.
Dickie, let me help you. You come around on the backside. All right. Now you face out.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
Maybe that was my better side. Cameras ready?
This is Horse Pond, where the water is stored before it is pumped into the distribution system. Many people think that this is the source of water, but actually the source is the streams and the spring-fed units that feed this pond. Dick, you want to give us a little idea of the capacity of the pond and the size of the pond and what have you?
Actually, this is Horse Pond. It's about 75 acres, holds about 450 million gallons. So we have two main brooks, the North Brook, the Stoddard Brook, which right now we're only taking water from the Stoddard Brook, which allows us to divert what they call water from Hunter's Swamp, which at times can continue to create our problems. So we try not to take that water unless we really have to. In dry years, we really have to, but the last few years we haven't had to.
You gave us the figures on the capacity of the pond, Dick. What is the average consumption by the townspeople in the course of an average day?
Right now, through the year, we're using about 300,000 gallons a day. Of course, it's a little higher in the summer, lower in the winter, so the average is around 300,000.
Yeah. And the quality of water that we have depends on the time of year. What is the average depth of the pond?
I would say probably go 10 to 12 feet. It ranges down as deep as 24 feet, and as you can see, the shorelines come down quick, and 4 to 6 feet, but I would say it averages 10 to 12 feet. Okay, when the reservoir is up to capacity, we have about a little over 3 million gallons of water here. It's about 14 feet deep. It is made of stone. You can see the stone walls all around with a base of pea stone on the bottom. It's served the town well, but it's time that we really got to think about replacing this particular open reservoirs, because now they're not allowed. If you were to do a project like this today, you would have to build a tank, and I think that's what we've got to look forward to in the future. Here in the pumping station now, we're in the downstairs room of the pumping station where our pumps are. These two particular pumps, this one here and that one, have been in service since 1935. Fortunately, they're Warren pumps, so we've been able to maintain them with the help of the Warren pumps. But they have served their purpose, and both of them are going to be replaced with most of the piping in this room. Right now our emergency power is not working, but we've been kind of waiting and incorporating it into this project. So hopefully that'll be answered when the project is completed. The pumps will be relocated, but in this same area, and we're going to try to do one at a time so that we always have at least one pump in service. Okay, we're standing on top of the Bell Hill reservoir that right now it's providing water to the town while the pumps are off. Say again, this has been in service since 1894. You keep hating to stress age of things, but it is that particular age, and it served the town well. It has a capacity of over 3 million gallons, which the new storage facility will be an enclosed tank, will probably only house about 1 million gallons. It still will be adequate for the town because everything will be automated. The pressures won't change. The quality of the water will be better because once the water is treated, it won't be exposed to the air again. which is one of the reasons why this really can't be used anymore. It is, you know, security-wise, it's hard to keep people out from throwing things, from leaves getting in, and just general air pollution today with the rain. We're standing in the proposed area for our filtration plant, and one of the big reasons right here is there's plenty of room. The town owns, you know, land plenty for the building and for any future that we plan to do, or the town has to do in the future. It's the second highest hill in town, so we know there's the gravity flow to the town, which of course gravity is free. So I mean, that helps to maintain our pressure. So we're very fortunate that we do own, and that our forebearers were fortunate enough to see this and do all the work up here that they did years and years ago, so that we could have the system that we have today. It's just the system needs some work and some improvement, and with all the Safe Water Drinking Act and mandates that are coming out, you know, we've got to do something. The area will be all in here, will be the filtration building. Back of me, off to my left, will be our proposed tank that will hold the 1 million gallons of water, be all enclosed so it won't be exposed to the air again. It'll go there. Once it leaves the filtration plant, it'll be pumped into that to maintain the pressure for the town, and it'll be all automatic so that the height won't fluctuate that much, or the pressure won't fluctuate that much. Okay, coming into our pumping station, we're going to have a new transmission line which will be laid approximately from this area right to our pumping station, and that line will be used to pump the water from the pumping station up to the filtration plant before it goes into the tank. The old line will still be kept to feed the people that are on that existing line on the Ocam Road, so there will be a dual line laid on the Ocam Road, which and may cause some inconveniences in the future for people, but hopefully everything will work out and people will be satisfied with what we've got planned.
The reservoir was built in 1890. It's an earthen dam. The project will consist of actually removing the existing reservoir. The gatehouse will remain. I believe there's an agreement with the Historic Commission to try to protect the existing gatehouse. We're going to propose to put in a new 1.5 million gallon reservoir, with the water treatment plant being just downhill from the existing reservoir. The existing water plant, which will be about a 6,200 square foot building, one story with 2 wells below it for clear well for filtered water. Up there in the water treatment plant will be we'll have new offices for the water department, potential for a conference room for water department meetings, lab for testing of pH or temperature and simple things. There will be obviously new workshops for Dick and his department. And also there's a large room will be 2 filters for treating of the water. The water will be taken or pumped from the clear wells up into the new reservoir, which would then be put into the distribution system.
What can you say about the design of this new system at this point that will improve the water for the town?
Well, first, the design was based upon pilot studies, both summer and winter, back in 1991. In those pilot studies, they used the same filters that we will be using on a much larger scale. But also the injections of several chemicals, powdered activated carbon and potassium permanganate, which are very strong oxidants, which help alleviate the taste and odor problem.
I see. Now, will there be, in addition to the construction at this site at Bell Hill, and some new pumps and electrical equipment and so forth at the pumping station?
Correct.
There are other parts of this program, too, that involve piping and some other things. Could you explain that? Is there anything
There will be a new water main that will go from the existing pump station up to Bell Hill Reservoir.
Okay, and that's a 12-inch?
There'll be a new 12-inch line,
Okay.
which will be dedicated just for the transmission of raw water.
Uh-huh.
The existing line that goes now from the raw water, or from the pump station, will be disconnected from the raw water pump station and will be converted to just the transmission line.
And that will all have to be dug and laid, right?
Correct.
About how long is that? What's the distance?
The distance from the raw water pump station and the new treatment plant is about 5,800 feet.
And that will follow the Ocam Road area?
Correct. Currently, it's planning on being on the south side of the Ocam Road until we get up in the area of the schools. It will cross over the school, and that's to avoid conflict with the existing sanitary sewer. We'll cross Route 67, or New Braintree Road, and then try to follow, best if we can find, the old transmission line that goes up to the Bell Hill Reservoir.
I see, okay. Now, there's another part to this water system that everyone seems to be interested in, and that's the metering system. Has that figured into your plans thus far?
Yes. State and federal mandate requires that all houses on a water filtration project, all services be metered. Therefore, as part of this program, we will be required to put in every residence and commercial establishment that has not been metered will be required to have a meter. The plant currently is being designed for approximately 500,000, or is being designed for 500,000 gallons per day. The current average pumping rate that the town has, or it does at this point, is around 400,000 to 500,000 gallons per day, which is about 500,000 gallons per day.
Okay.
The peak flow and projected peak flow for the next 20 years is around 1.8 million gallons per day, and that's the, when I mean peak, is the highest daily flow for the year.
And that would take into account emergencies like big fires and things like that?
That's correct.
Yeah, where you use a lot of water.
That's correct.
Okay.
The reservoir that will be on top of Bell Hill will have a capacity of 1.5 million gallons per day, which is a reserve to be used, and then already treated in the clear well itself will be about another, I believe, 80,000 gallons. So in all there'll be around almost 1.6 million gallons of.
And I also heard, I think I heard you say that the filtration plant at the top of the hill would be expandable. Is that right?
That's
with very
correct.
little extra effort.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The building that we're proposing at this point, it says we will have 2 filters in the building that can treat up to 2 million gallons per day. Now that's assuming the plant's running 24 hours a day. Currently we're looking at the plant only running 6 to 8 hours a day. We have left room in the plant to allow for another filter, which would actually make the plant 3 million gallon per day capacity.
Yeah. So this could serve the town well into the future with that in place, is that right?
Assuming that the town doesn't have an astronomical population boom.
Finally, our project for the new filtration plant has started. The tree clearing has commenced within the last couple days, plus our new transmission line has started, which we'll go down and check on later. But as you can see, this is the area we're going to be clearing, and all the trees are coming right out now. As you can see, the skidder is bringing up the debris. They're chipping it all and salvaging what they can for logs.
The pipe has already been put in across the intersection of New Braintree Road and Ocam Road, and work is completing on this side of the road, and digging is continuing to go on up the road, up toward Bell Hill,
as they dig the trenches to put in the pipes. You can see the size of the pipes laying beside the road, ready to be installed. And sections of pipe are going into the ground as they move up the hill.
We're just getting ready to site preparation, stripping the loom off the site, getting rid of the stumps, and bringing it down to a grade where they'll start digging the foundations for the building. We just told them to expect the foundations to be in and poured within about 3 weeks.
That's about the 4th of July?
Yeah, it'll be a little after that probably, and by that time all the forms should be up and poured.
As you can see, most of the area has been scraped clean. And you can see that the 16-inch pipe has been dug and covered with a temporary coal patch all the way down Ocam Road. And here, opposite the reservoir, Doan's Pond, the digging continues to go on, just freshly covered, as it makes its way down toward the pumping station. Here at the edge of the reservoir, just south of the Valley View School, they're putting in the 16-inch pipe from the reservoir down across the road to the pumping station, which is just below to the right. Equipment is really an incredible operation. The clearing, the digging, the installation. Letting the pipes just to the right length. The large area that was just cleaned is now a deep pit. The foundation will be poured shortly for the building. Rebar has been tied into place. I don't think so. We got more trucks on the road waiting. Hot day, hard work. You know what they're doing now to settle the concrete? It gets all the air out of the concrete.
east end of the building is beginning to take shape. Meantime, the other end of the site, large circular base is beginning to take shape. This is the 1.5 million gallon reservoir that will be poured in an arc of concrete.
Tom Salinas, H2O Engineering on the Brookfield water tank project. As you can see in the background, the tank is progressing basically as per schedule. The contractor, J.E. Murray, is excavating for subgrade, which we are determined to start building the tank, and which will be derived by Graves, the soils man, and then we can start building. You can see the site is kept clean and safe, and everything is progressing as planned.
What is your timetable on the construction, the pouring, and so on?
Timetable is that is up to Nat Gunn. Their crew is going to come up here very shortly to start pouring the slab foundation and walls for the tank. Their definite schedule has not been established, but it's coming shortly.
Okay.
J.E. Murray is working for Nat Gunn, and they are proceeding as per plan for the tank.
Now, does there have to be extra strength in the walls of this 1.5 million gallon tank? Does the concrete have to be a certain PSI, that sort of thing?
Yes, this is all predetermined by, I believe, Nat Gunn's engineers, and this has been already accepted in the industry, and there's already been tanks established, and which I am not aware of those classifications.
Okay. But there must be certain specifications that have to go into something
Oh, yes,
that's going to
yes,
hold all this water.
Yes, exactly. And I know from Nat Gunn, looking at their brochures and things like that, they've made even larger tanks, 3 million gallons, and perhaps up to 6 million gallons.
So they're quite experienced.
They're quite experienced at what they do, yes.
And what's inside this T is two turbine type fins that, and if you come on the other side there's a output shaft, which is a drive shaft which spun, and they had belts on it which ran the pumps, and it had two of these shafts coming out each end, and they ran the pumps, the original pumps that pumped water for the town. That's about all I have to tell you. That's about all I know.
Fair enough. Thank you.
These pumps right now are, they're all functional. I guess what they're doing is pumping from one reservoir up to the other with that big pump right there.
I'm Steve Jones, and I'm the operator of your new water treatment plant up here on Bell Road in North Brookfield. I'd like to describe how the water gets to this treatment plant at this point. The water comes from North Pond, which is off the Oakham Road, otherwise known as Horse Pond. It flows by gravity down to the raw water pump station, which is on the Oakham Road. We have two 200 horsepower pumps down there, which pumps the water up a transmission main up to the treatment plant here on Bell Hill. Now down at the raw water pump station, we do feed some chlorine to disinfect the water and to oxidize the organics, the iron that is in the water. We also have the capability of feeding carbon, powdered activated carbon, to take tastes and odors out of the water. We have found that that's not necessarily necessary at that point. We end up taking the tastes and odors up here at the treatment plant. The water flows from this raw water pump station up the transmission main to the treatment plant, which is on my right. It goes through extensive treatment in that building, it's pumped out of that building to the 1.5 million gallon enclosed storage tank, which you see behind me. And from there, it flows by gravity down into the town. Now this enclosed storage tank replaces the open reservoir that used to be here. It was constructed in 1894. And this tank was finished in January 2000. This is where the water first comes in after it's pumped from the raw water pump station up Bell Hill to the treatment plant. It's at this point that the treatment begins. The water from the reservoir has a certain amount of turbidity in it. This turbidity is small, tiny matter that is so small that it won't settle out in the reservoir. It stays in suspension. As it's pumped up here, we have to treat it with certain chemicals to make the particles stick together better so they can be treated in the filters. We use ferric chloride. The reason for this is it has extra positive charges. If you remember from your high school chemistry lessons, all matter has positive and negative charges. The turbidity from the reservoir is all negatively charged. Think of magnets. When you have a magnet, when you put the like side together, they bounce off of each other, they push away. It's the same way with the turbidity from the pond. To get these particles to stick together better, we have to feed extra positive charges so that when they come to each other, they'll actually stick to each other and make larger particles. These larger particles are able to be filtered out. We also feed a chemical polymer, which is like think of it as a glue, which hold these pieces together better once they hit the filter so they won't break up and go through the filter. We went online with this treatment plant on July 25th, 2000. Before this point, the water had been treated at the raw water pump station and up here with chlorine only, and it was pumped straight from the pond up to an open reservoir here where it flowed from the open reservoir down into the town. There was no treatment to the water besides the disinfection process, which we used hypochlorite and gaseous chlorine. None of the turbidity was taken out, none of the color was taken out, none of the tastes or odors are taken out. Up at this new treatment plant, we can take out over 90% of the turbidity, 95% of the color, and all the tastes and odors so far. We're still in startup mode. We do have some fiddling to do with the chemicals in the treatment process, but you should have noticed a difference by now as far as having cleaner water than you had before July 25th. As mandated by the EPA and the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, all drinking water has to be disinfected. Before this treatment plant went online, like I said, we used chlorine. Now we have a new system called a MyOx system, which you see behind me. We generate our own disinfectant here. That tank right there is a brine tank. It's full of salt. Water's pumped through the salt. The brine solution is pumped through the two electrolyte cells, which are on the ends on the top of the tank. The disinfectant is made through those cells, pumped into the storage tank, and then pumped into the raw water. Actually, it's the filtered water after it comes out of the filters. The disinfectant kills any bacteria that might be in the water coming from the reservoir. It also kills any tastes or odors that are still left in the water after it's filtered out. From the chemical feed room we were in at the very beginning of this, the water comes up this green pipe right here, where it says filter influent, and it goes into the bottom of our two US filter Trident filters. These filters contain two compartments, which we'll see when we go up top. The first compartment is called an upflow clarifier. It contains thousands of small polyethylene pellets held down by a screen. The water goes in the pipes, like I said, goes in the bottom of the filters and flow up through these polyethylene beads. Through the process of adsorption, the flock that we made in the chemical room sticks to these polyethylene beads, and most of the turbidity gets taken out in the first half of these filters. The upflow clarifiers are cleaned roughly every 4 to 5 hours automatically. To do that, we have air pumped into the bottom of the clarifiers. It expands the polyethylene beads, the media bed. It jostles the beads around, and all the flock is taken up and pumped up and out through this pipe right here, flows down into a basin which is right outside the building, and from there it's pumped to the wastewater treatment plant where they process it. We are filtering water now. The water flows up and through those beads like I described before. It flows into this trough, where then it flows down into the second half of the filter, which is the filtering process. That's where the water actually is polished. Polishing is taking out the final amount of turbidity that does get through the upflow clarifier. You may be able to see it in your camera, but there is some turbidity flowing now from this upflow clarifier into the trough and over into the filters. As you can see, the water flows down these troughs. It's still gravity feed and flows into the filters. These filters contain a mixed media. It's 3 different types of sands. The top level is an anthracite coal, which is very small pieces of anthracite coal. The next level is a silica sand, which is a finer material, and the bottom level is a garnet sand, which is a real fine type of sand. Any turbidity that's still left after the clarifier goes down gravity through those levels of sand, and the turbidity is taking out. We normally have about 0.03 parts of turbidity actually going through that media. The water flows through this filter, the mixed media, by gravity down to the bottom of the filter, out the blue pipes that you see down below. From there, it flows down into a large room underneath this building. There's actually 2 large rooms underneath this building. The one we're talking about right now is a clear well that holds about 120,000 gallons of water. There are baffles in the clear well, so that the water has to go from where it comes in, where the blue pipes send it in. It goes down and around and through a bunch of baffles, kind of like a maze. Goes around the building, which gives it 2 hours. It takes 2 hours to go through this maze. Goes around to the far corner of the building, where it's picked up by pumps and pumped out to the storage tank that you saw at the beginning of this. This provides contact time for the disinfectant, for the Myox system that you saw earlier. This is also where we practice corrosion control. We raise the pH from 6.7 as it comes out of the pond to 7.5, so the water's less corrosive when it gets to the system. We also have another large room in the second half of the building, which holds 80,000 gallons of water. This is where the backwash water goes to be recycled. When these filters are backwashed, the water is captured and put into this other large room on the other side of the building. And from there, the sediment is let settled out, and then we pump this water from this room back into the system, back through the filters to be cleaned again. So we're not wasting any water with the backwash water. We recycle all of our backwash water. As a final note, we come into the lab where we keep strict quality control over the water as it comes out of the filters and it's pumped into the storage tank. What we have in front of me is continuous analyzers that continuously analyze the turbidity as it comes out of the filters. If you can see those numbers, they're pretty low. Analyzes the pH as it comes into the plant and as it goes out of the plant. And a chlorine analyzer to make sure we have enough chlorine residual in the water as it leaves the plant, so that there's always a chlorine residual in the system in the town. We also take daily readings in this lab from . turbidimeter, spectrophotometer. We have a jar test machine, which helps us determine what type of chemical concentration we're going to feed into the raw water. We also check the pH. So here up on Bell Hill, we have both the old system, which you see now behind the observatory. That's where the open reservoir used to be. And we have the new system with the storage tank and the new treatment plant. In the past, the water was never filtered. It was disinfected, so it was safe to drink. But now you've got an excellent treatment plant up here that filters the water and provides good, clean, safe drinking water for the people of North Brookfield.
A toast to the good people of North Brookfield and their new drinking water plant.
The plant is open.